What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of MUT Tips. I'm your host, Sean Taylor from the Made Up Theater, and let's jump into today's topic, staging your scenes. If you've ever seen a theatrical production before, you know they place a huge emphasis on presentation, which includes staging and blocking, which is ultimately how the production looks, which also translates to how it feels. And we incorporate a lot of these elements into improvisational comedy and theater, right? But there's a pitfall that we fall into sometimes, where there's just that traditional improv scene. Two people on stage looking at each other, talking to each other, not really doing any action or using the space in a beneficial manner. Or two people sitting in a chair talking to each other, right? They're very traditional images of improv comedy that we have in our heads. And they can get us stuck. We don't know how to escalate the scene or heighten it or bring it to new transformations, right? So let's get into staging and how we can use it to benefit our scenes and get us out of our comfort zone and into taking more risks. Let's begin with initiating an improvised scene, which is where it all starts. If you start in a scene with just two people talking to each other, man, they can work, but they can be tough sometimes for me, because they feel samey. I've done thousands of scenes that start this way, right? So maybe start with a unique staging choice, maybe something you never do. Like, have you ever started a scene maybe over here or over here? Or maybe you start sitting downstage where like your feet is pretty much in the audience. Or heck, maybe you start off to the side in the audience. There's a lot of unique choices that we don't think to do because they might seem unconventional, but by starting different, it causes you to act different and make different choices, and thus you get to explore undiscovered territory that you never thought you could do before. So try starting a scene in a different position. Like, hey, even if you start talking to each other, maybe you start really far apart from each other, or maybe your back is to the other person. Or maybe like if you're sitting down, like a traditional scene starter is just like maybe sitting in a car, right? But maybe you make a unique choice to bring your passenger seat back. And maybe it's like turns it into a bus, which, man, I haven't really done a lot of bus scenes before. I've done a lot of car scenes, but not too many bus scenes. So just by making some simple, modification to your scene, man, you can start to delve into some interesting territory. Another way to utilize staging is through reacting, right? Because we have go-tos when we convey emotions on stage, right? We change our facial expressions, or we change our voice, or our body posture, like arms crossed if we're angry, or arms up in the air like this if we're excited, right? Those are go-tos that we do, and they're great, but we also can utilize movement across the stage to convey these moments. So for example, if someone walks in the room and maybe I'm angry at them, I might cross my arms, I might change my facial expressions, but I can also use body movement on the stage to show how I feel. Like maybe I'll start crossing the stage, because that's bringing focus to me. And maybe when I cross the stage, I go down stage, like close to the audience, so they get a more clear image of my anger towards my scene partner. That's awesome. Or if someone walks in the room and maybe I have a crush on them, I might be like, I'm shy, my face might like look down, I'm timid, I look scared. But I want to show this to the audience, so I can even like walk towards them so they get a more clear image on how I'm feeling, because I'm not leaving them in the dark. I'm not going upstage towards the back wall. I want to bring it up close. They need to be in on this moment that's happening on stage. So use staging as a way to convey like a moment or an emotional choice, right? You can even practice just doing scenes in silence, That's a great way to practice emotional staging choices. Just make sure you're not actually mouthing words to each other like this in silence. It's a totally silent scene, no dialogue. Convey emotional choices through your facial expressions, your body posture, but also through staging, Use that stage. It's your weapon, it's your tool. And this last concept I'm gonna get into is about staging in the round. And this isn't something you can actively implement in your shows for the most part, but it's something to try out in workshop and rehearsal, because it makes you so much more aware of the audience's perspective during your show, that you can even start to play to it. And about 5 years ago, I played in a show that was very different from what I'm normally used to. A traditional theater setting is there's a stage right here and there's seats right in front, right? We all play in those types of theaters. But this was a theater in the round, which means the stage was right here and the seats were all around the stage, which means during the entire performance, my back was definitely to some people in the audience. There was no way to avoid that. but it was kind of interesting. It made me nervous and made me very aware of the audience to the point where I was making specific choices to benefit their perspective and viewpoint of the show. I remember one scene, I just did a nice roundabout pace to show my intimidating character to everybody in the audience. And by walking around as that character, I got more invested in the character. I could feel and become that character more. And it was all through just very aware spacing that I was trying to implement in the show. So try that out. Maybe in workshop or rehearsal, just do a roundabout, like chairs all around a performance area, and just do scenes and be very aware to playing to all sides of the theater. That's very helpful to helping you get out of that trend of just talking to each other back and forth, right? Those aren't fun. Use your stage, it's your playground. And that concludes this episode of MUT Tips. Thank you so much everybody for checking it out. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like down below or comment with somebody you would like addressed in a future video. I'd love to hear it. Also subscribe on YouTube to be informed of upcoming videos. I'd love to have your support. Thank you so much everybody. I'll see you next time for another episode of MUT Tips. Bye.